There are three major functions of the InsideTrack system. The first one, and probably the most important as far as maid tracking or housekeeping tracking, staff tracking, is this first section. Then the managing digital signs, I'll get into that a little bit, and then administrating the site and configuring and setting up. I'm not going to go into that so much right now, but let's look at tracking staff and how that works and all the capabilities behind tracking staff. When you log into the system, of course, when you go back to that, you get after you log in, you get these, and if you are an administrator, you'll be able to go in and manage things like building floors, adding, and the location builder. These are for configuring the system. If you're not an administrator, that will not allow you to do that. But if you're just administering, or excuse me, just managing and following and using the tracking capability, then this is where you'll land. This is where you'll need to go. Okay. The system is sophisticated in that however many floors you have in the property, this little elevator type display allows you to just build them out, and if they get to too many floors, then you get the ability to tab over multiple floors. So if it were like a 100-floor property, you'd still be able to deal with that, like in a tower or so forth. Also, regarding however big the floor is, a couple things. One is you can zoom out and you can zoom in. So depending on the size of this floor graphic, you can really include a lot of information for display, and then be able to have a meaningful zoom level that would allow you to view as much of the information as you need to see. All right, so that, by the way, is accomplished by clicking on the map and then using the thumb wheel to scroll in or out. Okay, and so if you just come in and you're on a floor and you want to click on it and then zoom out, just use the thumb wheel to zoom out, click on the floor. Also, whatever position you leave the floor in, if you go to another floor and you come back, it'll be in that position still. Now, to see where the staff are, and as many people as you might have, so you could have 50 people here, and they're not in subgroups right now, but we could do that. If you pick up more people than are on this screen, then a scroll bar comes up. And when you select all, it shows where everyone is who's in your tracking grid, in your tracking system. And but you'll see that this is by floor. So I did select all. I was on floor 1. I see that there is only one person on floor 1. If I go to floor 2, there's 2 people. This Diane Brandon, she's running over time. Those are metrics, time metrics. There is an OK, and then a warning level, and then an alert level. And those are all settable for each account. And so you can see that this person, and this, by the way, is real time. So this is where this person is. This is where this person is. If you hover over them, you can see who is there. So here in the top view, you can just see how many people are out there. And then if you hover over them, you can see. Now, if you want to know specifically where a person is, you click on them, and it will identify them and leave the name bubble up here. So that is where that person is. Very easy to see that. Also, if you're not on that floor, say I'm on 4th floor here, but I click on Diane, it will go to the 2nd floor and then illuminate her bubble. And if I have auto center on that, let's say go to another floor, and then I want to go back to Diane, it will actually center. So if I'm in auto center, I can see exactly where Diane is going to go, right to the middle of that. But and if I want to zoom out, I can see where where everyone is in the room. And then I have auto center on, so she's going to continue to center at that point regarding whatever the zoom is. She's going to continue to center every sample that comes up. Take auto center off, and then that won't happen. So if I set it back over here, then that's where it's going to be. Okay, so zoom out a little bit on this. Okay, using the thumb wheel again. All right, so if I want to know where Mary Page is, click Mary and Bill. There's actually 2 people in this room, And so if I have more people in the room than the label can handle, it will say, and you can see Mary's in 365 and Bill is in 365. Okay, so that's going to give me both of these people. Pat Jones. So this is all in real time. This is where they are now. All right, and if they're real time, how long they've been in that room status. This is really only a glance for where are they now. So I know exactly where they are and how long have they been in the place that they're at. That's the time right here in minutes. This updates every 15 seconds and it's in real time. So now let's go to the reports. Okay, now let me just say on the reports, if you're not used to looking at histograms, then this might be a little bit confusing, but let me break it down for you. A histogram is used to represent a statistical distribution of behavior. And what we have here is that this top Y value is 69 instances for this middle bar here. So there were 69 rooms that were cleaned that took between 10 and 15 minutes. Okay, so that's the top bar there. I can actually change that if I want to go to 80, for example. It'll change the scale of that, so that's something I can do in real time. Go back here to 69. So 69 is how many, how many rooms were cleaned for this period of time. So between the 27th and the 27th, 69 rooms were cleaned at between 10 and 15 minutes. Now, the rest of these are sort of proportional to that. So, this would be about half of that, not even quite, a little bit more than half of that. So there's probably 40 or 50 rooms. And this may be about 60 rooms, somewhere in there. And you just see, but what you're seeing here is that the better the behavior, this is not just your mean. In fact, we could compute the mean and display it here. That'd probably be a good idea. But what this is you can actually see the spread and the apparent mean. This is where most of, and actually this is the mode. This is the mode of your distribution, and which is where most of them occur. This is actually a very well-behaved distribution because you only have very few people doing rooms, a very few number of rooms here at between 30 and 35 minutes. And so this is a well-behaved distribution. Now, I will tell you, if you're just looking at the demo version of this, this is modeled from a mathematical model, so it might not be representative of what would happen in real life, especially when you first start with a system. It's probably going to be a very wide distribution. You have some up here, and it'll probably tend to be a little bit more ragged and flat. But this is a very well-behaved Gaussian type distribution. And we don't need to tell the people that. We don't need to talk statistics here, but that is what it is. It's Gaussian distribution. But if you look at this, this is the mode. This is where 69 rooms were cleaned between 10 and 15 minutes. Fewer were cleaned between 15 and 20, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's move on. Now, we can also look at that by individual. We can say for Wednesday, how many rooms did they count? So if we look at Bill, Bill was in rooms for 15 to 20 minutes. He was in 5 rooms for 15 to 20 minutes. He was in, probably 3 rooms for 10 to 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. And we can break down this graph a little bit more, or maybe put a number in here that would, show what the count is. But really, this is more to look at a glance, than specifically what are the exact numbers. But we can do that. That's not that hard to do. And then what I can do here is go, okay, well, what's the next person? Here's Diane. She's a little bit better. Her mode is between 10 and 15 minutes. She's done 9 rooms. Keep looking. So you can see as I click through. So here we have a little bit, Terry's a little bit more ragged. She's got a couple of rooms out here. Actually, 1 room at 30 to 35 minutes. But overall, she's between 5 and 10 and 10 and 15 minutes for most of her things. So actually, this is a fairly strong signal, strong distribution here for this. So she had a problem here probably, but for the most part, she's looking pretty good. Okay, so this is just allows you to really quickly go through each individual and take a look and see if there's anything that stands out. Then there's time trends. Time trends are, and I guess this probably is a little confusing because how do you do a fraction of a room? But that's just because this automatically graph just automatically scales. But we can make it automatically scale to an integer. It's not really a problem. But you'll see that where the dots are or where the inflection points are, they're not actually on these grid lines. They're wherever they are. So that's 4, 5, 6, and so forth. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see. So, but this is from room to room that they cleaned. This is a time history plot for that individual. So we can come here and look at all these time history plots. And that's what we're seeing. Okay. And then, so those are the time histories or time trends. And then ranked individuals. This is a really good value prop here because you can see who on average is taking the less amount of time. Let me scroll down there a little bit. So Jesse is definitely lower as shorter times. That's the average time. And then Bill Wilson's actually taking longer. So these are the ranked histograms. So Bill's the slowest routinely, and Jesse is the fastest. And then we can come down here and say, well, that's fine for today, but how about for, the last, week and a half or so? And we'll load in that data. And what we'll do here is then come to the rank, and then Jesse actually is not the slowest. Over that time, Pat Jones is the not slowest, fastest, taking the shortest amount of average time over that entire period of time. Now, if I go back in, then look at the graphs, the histograms, start back over again. Now we can see over that period of time how well people are performing. And that gives you a better picture for overall. And again, on the time trends now, we should be seeing, actually more rooms for those periods of time. Okay. And then if I go by all here, in room times. So this is my distribution. You'll see there's many, many more. That's not the total rooms. That's the mode. That's where the mode resides. So most of the rooms, 620 of them, were done between 10 and 15 minutes. And this is your overall distribution for this period of time. And then on logs, we can go in and choose a date, for example, and then come in and look at this individual, and we can play their behavior just from room to room. You can speed that up and loop it. You can see that it's a little bit erratic. It doesn't follow an exact pattern, but a relative pattern. That's because in our model, this is probably a little bit more accurate to behavior, but it is a model. So, just for the demo site, go to Diane, see her times, go to Fiona, different set of rooms, different floor, Jesse, different set of rooms, different floor, and different set of rooms, different floor. So that's what that is. That's for the specific date. This is only relative to the one date, and then I can also get another view of the time history plot for that particular day. So here it is in a tabular form, and here it is in a graphical form. So the only metric that we can measure against right now is time in room, because our sensors are in the rooms, and we don't have any other way of determining any other form of sensor to determine other types of behavior. And so really right now all we can track is in room time. If I were to even track a desk clerk, all I could really tell is when they left the desk. We could see how long they were on a desk, but for them, there's probably not a lot of value in that. There might be, I suppose, but in reality, this is just checking time at location. And as we, I think, grow the application, we'll be able to determine what value props we can get out of time at location. But right now, we only have one type of sensor, which is time and location. So that's what we're getting. But in doing that, what we can do is really look to see things like who's performing best, who's performing worst. And then when you're going to justify your employees and you begin to get this thing under control and you say, hey, you know, you go through each individual employee and look at their distribution and say, hey, how come you've got rooms that you've, been doing in 35, 40 minutes, and you can then go in and slice and dice and figure out how people are doing in terms of their room performance. And that's pretty much it for this stuff. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but for these tabs, that's about what we got right now.